So what are
Mhm.
your kind of, in terms of general philosophies? I mean, if you were to look at the data over the last several years, E.L.F, I mean, E.L.F was really, I think, founded, or not founded, I should say, before you got there, they were very influencer focused, and that seemed
Yeah.
to wane a little bit. And I think you came back, and the performance has just been super impressive over the last few
Mhm.
years. What do you think are some of the core philosophies that drove that rise in the rankings to where you guys are now?
Mhm. So I think the first one is very easy for me to think about is influencers are not KPIs, they're people
Yep.
and they're friends of your brand. So really treating it like the relationship that it should be. And these are our friends. These are friends of our brand. They advocate on our behalf. They love what we have to offer. We created something they want to be a part of. So nurturing the relationship is really the most important part.
Mhm.
And I think you can measure the success of a brand by the depth of their relationships. And one of the things that I'm sure you noticed with E.L.F, which is very different than a lot of the other brands, is we never played the mega influencer game. So for us, it was never about go after the person who has the highest level of fame and the biggest number of followers. What we knew with E.L.F is this brand, I like to say, is of the people, by the people, for the people. And for us, it was a micro influencer approach.
Mhm. Mhm.
And one of the things that I saw early on that I thought was incredible when we were doing our Beautyscape initiative, which is our annual tent pole where we use our platform to rise up emerging influencers, is they all wrote a sort of essay about their love affair with E.L.F. And what I kept seeing coming up over and over and over and over was when I couldn't enter into the beauty space because it was too expensive, E.L.F was there for me.
Mhm.
And when you think about the power of that, everybody remembered their first experience with E.L.F because it opened the door to a world they couldn't otherwise have access to. That's really powerful. So that emotional connection to our brand, and even if one day they graduated to a Lancome or a Tom Ford, or whatever they may have traded up to at some point, they still have E.L.F brushes, and they still have a love for the E.L.F brand that they'll always come back to. So I think you have to understand what's special about your brand, what's the draw, what's the love affair, what's that connection, and then you have to nourish that and be honest with yourself about it, because you want to be authentic. And that's something that for us has always been that relationship back, that generosity on both sides. Some brands treat influencers as a transaction.
Mhm.
That's not who we are or what we do. So for
Nor is
us,
it the right
it's
approach, frankly.
right, right.
So yeah, yeah, no. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's always going to come back to the same place, which is that fundamental relationship, and making sure that you're constantly giving your community what it is that they want to see from your brand. And that's another thing that I love about E.L.F is we never created E.L.F as this vision of something that you need to aspire to enter into, which is what a lot of brands do. We constantly iterate E.L.F to give our community more of what they want to see from us. We let them determine what our superpowers are, and then we lean into those superpowers, not the ones that we think are our strengths that we want to lean in on, the ones they think. And so we're constantly having those dialogues with our community and with our influencer community, and using our platform to rise up the emerging artists who wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity to have a platform that big to put their voice on. So I think that's the way we've made those depths of connections. We've built those enduring relationships, and we created an orbit that people want to be a part of.